Hey, I'm Sean,
Hi, and I'm Shannon.
and we're the hosts of Wifey and Baby Mama. Welcome, welcome to Thursday Night Family. Thursday is now my favorite day of the week. Now,
Mine
I
too.
know you're
Mine
right.
too.
And I know some of you will think, well, it's not Sunday. Nope, never has been because me and God don't have a Sunday type of love. We talk
That's
all
right.
day, every day. Now,
Hmm.
boom, there it is. But
There it
seriously,
is.
we've said it before. Doing what you love and doing what you have to do is different. And we love doing what we do, which is
Hmm.
connecting with you all on Thursday night. Now, you may or may not remember a few episodes ago, Wifey and Baby Mama excitingly moved into season two, which pivoted us
Yeah.
from the foundation of blended families to self care, self love, and just being better people, right, to ourselves and each other. We also threw a small party to celebrate our 20th episode a couple
Yes,
of
we
weeks back.
did.
Like we partied amongst
Yes,
each
we
other,
did.
y'all. Tonight's episode is along those lines. It's titled Step Up or Step Off. It continues on the lines of knowing what we deserve. We're going to discuss some do's and don'ts when it comes to deciding on Mrs. Right or Mr. Wrong. Part of our
Hmm.
decision to pivot was based on the fact that maybe everyone doesn't have a blended family. Some of our
Hmm.
listeners may be single. Some may not have children. Some may never want children. So, for those reasons,
Hmm.
we wanted all of our audience to feel like they can relate. So, whether you have kids or not,
Yeah.
whether you're dating or married, we wanted to appeal to everyone in hopes that you can take something away, that make you say, hmm.
Hmm. Yeah. And then also too, you will pick up that there is sometimes there is a theme that can be tied back to, a blended family in a lot of
Absolutely.
our topics. So keep that in mind, even if we're not specifically touching on a topic that has blended family in the name. You can, for those of you who are, tuning in for that reason, just think about what we're talking about. And then, Sean and I, we always, you and I always tie it back in some kind of way
Oh yeah,
sometimes,
absolutely.
if it
And like you
fits.
said,
Yeah.
yeah, and like you said, it's future shows that are dedicated to blended families still.
Mm-hmm.
But we just
Yes.
decided to sprinkle a little bit, and pivot a little bit
Yeah.
so that people like I'm just going to be honest, if I didn't have any children, if I didn't have a blended family, I would be like, why am I listening to this? So
Right.
life, all of it ties into life, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
came up with some type of topics and titles and discussions that, like I said, can appeal to anyone. Of course, our future shows will pit back, we'll pivot back,
Mm-hmm.
and we might even slide them in between. It's whatever God puts on our heart that week that we feel like we want to put out and we can break down to you. That's what we're going to do. But I just wanted to
That's
give everybody a
right.
little idea, especially if you're a new listener. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought this was on blended families. What is this?
Uh-huh.
It's just pretty, it's on life. But we laid our foundation for blended families because that's our basis. That's how
Right.
Shannon and I related. That's how we connected, being
Mm-hmm.
blended moms. So
Exactly.
here we are. And
And you mentioned new listeners. You mentioned new listeners, didn't you, Sean?
absolutely did. Do we got more girls? Do we got more?
We got two new countries to report. Welcome,
Yes.
welcome, welcome. We want to say welcome to France and Japan.
How
Welcome
about
to
that?
the
Hello, Japan and France. Welcome to Wifey and Baby Mama. We're
Yeah.
so glad to have you.
Yes. All right.
All right, so let's get
Mhm.
into this thing. Step up or step off. Up means just what you think it does in reference to relationships. Like how long is too long to get married, right? Last week we discussed
Mm,
marking yourself safe and not letting the wrong person take you off the market. But we also want people to be careful not to let someone string you along for years with no intentions on actually stepping up. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. It doesn't take 5 to 10 years to know if you want to be with someone for the rest of your life.
mhm.
However, because marriage is designed to be forever, you definitely shouldn't rush into it either. But be real with yourself. A person's vibe will tell you how into you they are, right? And if you're in tune with yourself, which we absolutely advise before you reach out to start dating seriously toward marriage, you get in tune with yourself. You'll be able to say, nah, this ain't it. And people, please don't confuse dating and marriage. Two totally different things. And that's why we encourage dating the proper way if you're going to date. And that doesn't mean sleeping with everyone you have dinner and a movie with. That doesn't mean
Right.
Netflix and feel, not chill. That doesn't mean that. And it doesn't mean committed to every person that takes you to the moon in bed either. If you are
Yeah.
sexually active with them, it means date,
Mhm.
you know?
Exactly. And get to know people.
Absolutely.
How many couples have you met, Sean, where well, maybe you haven't, but I've been in situations where I've been at dinner, me and my husband been at dinner with other couples or a particular couple, and they've been together for a long time. And one of
Mhm.
them will say something like, "Oh, do you know?" And I'm just going to make something up that's kind of exaggerates it or makes it a little mundane, but the wife will say, "Oh, my I just love, pasta and red sauce." And the husband will say, "Do you? I didn't know that." And it's like, "How long y'all been married?" Stuff like that. When it's little things,
Exactly.
those little things, like I'm sure you know everything about your husband. Like I know everything about my husband. If he says something, he'll say, I might feel like a pork chop today. I know him so well, I'll say, "No, you don't. You want a
Right.
chicken wing." That's how I
Right.
know how well I know him. He'll say, "Oh yeah, you're right. I do want a chicken wing." Um, so get to know your partner. Get to know whoever you're dating. And when you get to know them, when you get to know all these little small things, of course, they aggregate up to bigger things. And that helps
Right.
you see who that person is. And if you're really looking at them, who they are, and asking probing questions and getting to know them and being your real self. um,
Right.
you know, Sean, when you first start dating someone, we both, as girls, we do this. You don't let them see the best you. You're gonna give them uh, at least the
You mean
first couple of
you mean
dates.
you don't let them see the worst you?
Oh, the worst you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm
Yes, the
like, nah.
worst
I
you.
was like, nah. I can't. Hold on,
Not
sis.
the
I'm gonna
real.
give my best. They don't see Sean. They meet Yvette when they first meet
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah,
don't meet Sean
yeah.
for a while. Absolutely, I get
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. And if you keep it superficial, by not, going
Will
into
they
deep
ever get to know you?
conversations. Exactly.
That's right. And we can't
Exactly.
express enough. That's why we can't express enough how important it is. Also with knowing yourself when it comes to these topics,
Mhm.
because just knowing you will save a lot of heartache. And like you just said, Shannon, we can we're gonna send our representatives. I think pretty much everyone sends their representative. I don't think the dude who has bunions will take his shoes off and kick his like. Wait a minute, let me get to know her a little bit.
Right.
Or the girl who has, I don't know. If I have on a wig, I ain't snatching it off on the first date. Now you may find second and third. I don't wear wigs by the way, but I'm
Right,
just saying.
right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I think they're cute. I just don't know how to wear them. But
Yeah, I
I
wear
love them. I wish I could. I can't put them on. My daughter tried. I was like, if you don't get this off
them.
my head, I tried. I love them. But guess what, y'all? My husband hates weaves. He hates
Uh-huh.
wigs. He hates braids.
Mhm.
Shan, I don't know if
Mhm.
you've noticed since I've been back with Jim in 6, 7 years on Facebook, you've never seen me in braids. I love
Never
braids.
have.
Love them. My
Ah,
husband doesn't like them. I mean, he has this thing with
okay.
it. But guess what?
Mhm.
I don't like bald heads. And one day he's like, I think
Okay.
I'm gonna cut my bald head, my hair. I said, I think you're gonna be divorced. So he respects me, right? So I gotta respect
Yeah,
his.
yeah,
But that's just
exactly.
something like if I first met him, could he tell me I don't like braids? Like what?
Mhm.
So if you met me in braids and then you say, well, you know what? I know that's how I met you, but I really
Mhm.
get to know yourself. And I'm like, so
Mhm.
what I had to ask myself is I had a friend who tell me, oh, I couldn't be with nobody like that. Okay, well, to each his own.
To each his own.
I want to be
Mhm.
appealing to my husband because I want my husband to
Yeah.
be appealing to me. You understand what I'm saying? So if he don't want braids, then guess what? I'm going to get this bob, whatever. So me and maybe I might sew me some Beyonce hair occasionally. And and guess what, Shannon? I can tell when I come home. He's like, like if I have an occasion or an event and I want a different look, and
Mhm.
I sew in me some pretty curly. He'd be like, I'm
Mhm.
like, baby, you don't like it. He's like, no. He said, but I can deal with it for a few weeks. And that's just how we roll. But that's why you
Yeah.
guys unfortunately see me in a bob 98% of my adult life
Ah,
because that's
it's
what my husband
beautiful.
likes.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's what
your
he
hair
likes.
is always beautiful. Thanks,
Well, thank
Shar.
you. Right, right. Char's my girl. But I knew within a few months of meeting him, right, that I wanted to be his wife. Like young in college, never had a
Mhm.
child. I hadn't worked a day in my life, Shannon. But something deep down knew it was not a regular encounter, right? And trust me, it
Yeah.
wasn't because he was so into me. If I'm gonna tell it, I'm gonna tell it. He was running circles around my little
Mhm.
country behind.
Mhm.
But something inside of me only wanted him. So I
Mhm.
did date other people when we were on bad terms. And, we eventually even went our own separate ways and everything. But that love, that longing,
Yeah.
it lingered. And
Mhm.
I know it's because my soul identified with his, right? Because he was my person. The
Right.
problem was we were not in tune with each other at that time. And we failed big time.
Mhm.
And then we failed again until we both figured
Mhm.
out who we were as individuals, right? And now, I'm not encourage anyone to go through the madness we did in the name of love. By all means, please don't. What I will tell you is do it right the first time. That will always be my answer. Do it right the first time. And sometimes, even then, it's not problem proof, right? But if we do it
Yeah.
right the first time, it's less or no drama when it's over. It's no toxicity involved. I can't get that. I can never
Mhm.
say that word right. Toxic
Mhm.
toxicity. Did I say it right? Okay.
Mhm.
Now
Yep, you did.
y'all pray for me. We meet. We meet. We dated. I'm sorry. We met. This is how you
Mhm.
look at it. We dated. It's over. Or we met.
Mhm.
We dated, and now we're friends, right? Or we met and we dated, and now we're getting married. Only
Yeah.
God and time determine how all of it turns out. But if we've been good to ourselves, right, and each other through that process, we can ensure peace in the end.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So getting to know your partner, asking the probing questions, the deep questions like, do you want children?
Yeah.
Or if you're
What your
over the, or if you're past the age where you can have children, do you want to adopt? Or, what do you believe in God? Some things
what are
like
your
that.
financial goals?
Oh, yeah. What's your
I
credit
think you
score?
said, yeah, right. I think I wouldn't be married, but I think you said in one episode, this girl, I be tripping. But I think what you said in one episode was, um, you had to teach your husband like what was it, survival over
Oh,
a
yeah.
success,
Success over survival.
success over
Yep.
survival. See the mentality that they have. And just because he
hmm
had survival mentality doesn't mean he wasn't a good husband. Now he's a
Oh,
great
right.
husband.
Right. Oh,
So
yeah.
just find it, hey, okay, so if this is your mentality, baby, look, this is what I'm working toward. Are you with that? Or would you
Mhm,
like to stay in
mhm.
survival mode? Because we can definitely go take you, drop you off, and let somebody else deal with that. So it's not that they have to be perfect, but what is their mindset?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is their end game?
Mhm, mhm.
And
Yep,
now
and
that we got like, go ahead, I'm sorry.
oh, no, I was just gonna say, and are you working towards a common goal, you know?
Absolutely.
Um, so
And with that being said, we need to avoid things like procrastination, commitment issues,
mhm,
or the last person did this. Again, doing it right is always best, but it's inevitable. You're going to run into people like this because everyone isn't healed and everyone isn't mature.
right,
And
right.
some people aren't intentional. Some people are intentional about playing with people's feelings just to see how many I could get. So you need to be aware
Mhm,
that you are dealing, who you're dealing with, especially if you're in a phase in life when you're ready to settle down. Make sure you're not pushing and they're pulling, right? While we
mhm.
may not know that after a month or so who the person is, if a person is your person, it doesn't take long at all to find out if they're even like-minded.
Right, exactly, and, when you're trying to go for that, person that you think is your person, we can build up a lot of stuff in our heads and say, well, he's very nice to me, or um, I, I don't know, he does something, but he's not all the way there. He doesn't meet, whatever your standards are. Say it's your faith in God. It's like, oh, he's real
Right.
nice, but he's agnostic. But he's real nice, so try not to, compromise on the big
That's it.
things,
That's right.
just to say you have someone. Um
And that's what I'm saying, like being like-minded. I'm
Mhm.
telling you, that's
Yeah.
important. My husband is not he's very spiritual. He grew up in the church. All of his families are ministers. His father was a deacon. We
Mhm.
love deacon. His brother-in-law's a bishop. His sister's a pastor. He grew up in a
Mhm.
family of Christians, right? But his
Right.
faith is still not as strong as mine because of life, what the things life has showed him,
Mhm.
because of
Right.
failed trust in relationship between he and I for whatever reason. Just because of life
Mhm.
itself,
Mhm.
situations he went through that just because he's a black man was unfair. So his
Yeah.
faith is not as strong was not as strong as mine when we first met. Now, even though he came from a
Mhm.
very Christian, and faithful background. But as we grew together, as I kept my mind on Jesus, I kept him focused. I'm
Mhm.
watching him every single day come closer to God. I'm watching him make godly decisions that he was not making in the end. But he wasn't Catholic. He wasn't, what is it when they don't
Yeah.
believe in God? He
Um,
wasn't anything crazy that I knew I would have to struggle. I'm not
he
doing
he
that with
wasn't
you.
he wasn't an atheist or
He wasn't an
agnostic.
atheist. No, we're not doing that.
Okay.
And nothing against you if you are, but that's not who
Mhm.
I am. So
Right,
therefore, we
right.
wouldn't work. And we have
Mhm.
future episodes, you're right? Future episodes that talk about opposites attract. I think that's actually one of the name of our upcoming show, Shannon, right?
Mhm.
Opposites attract.
Yep.
So I won't go
Mhm.
deep because we have another episode in it. But I will say, you don't have to like everything the person does. And I
Mhm.
think it's even healthy to have different interests. But
Oh, yeah.
values and morals are something we shouldn't and can't compromise on
Mhm.
if you're going to be in a happy,
Right.
successful marriage. And in my Forrest Gump voice, that's all I'm gonna say about that. I ain't gonna go
Well,
too deep.
well, let me say this. When you mentioned, having your own personal interests,
Mhm,
uh, so I have a friend
mhm,
that, started dating someone. It's been, of course, been longing for that relationship for a long time.
mhm,
And this particular person, um, loves, absolutely loves football. The
mhm.
guy. The
Okay,
girl hates football. Absolutely
okay.
hate her whole life. Whole life. Never any sports, really, not just football, but not any sports. Now all of a sudden she's an NFL expert. She
Hilarious.
out here calling plays and knowing. I'm like, what? It's like that is not your life. That's his life. And well, I mean, she didn't just start dating him. Let me back that up. They've been dating for about a year now. So it
Mhm.
started last football season. So now, football season starts tonight. So I did ask her, I said, "Are you ready, for the season?" And she's like, "Nah, I'm really not into this." I'm like, I knew it. I knew it. You out here acting like an NFL cheerleader and all this stuff when you did not like sports. So it's okay to have your own interests. Now, if you do develop a love for football, that's one thing, but don't pretend to have an interest in something and then, you know, you wake up
Because
one day just miserable.
that's also what we say though, right? And
Mhm.
I won't say what family member. I have a family member the exact same way. They act like they were so into finance and this schooling and that schooling, and she's miserable as hell.
Mhm.
Literally every day. So you know what she
Mhm.
does? She makes everyone around her miserable because now she's
Right.
created this fake life and she's stuck
Mhm.
in it and she's mad at
Mhm.
everyone else because they choose to be happy or they pick someone and say, "Hey, this is
Right.
who I am." So no,
Right.
being different is it's not always a bad thing, but if there is a difference, it's what you determine. Let me see. If it is a difference, like you said, if she's into football or maybe she wants to get into it because you know what, this is what my man enjoy. I want to be able to
Mhm.
get along with him
Mhm.
and I want to be able to
Mhm.
relate. That's cool. But don't fake the
Mhm.
funk because after a while it's
Don't
going to
fake the
become
funk.
something either either he's
Mhm.
going to resent you or you're going to resent him. Because
Mhm.
first of all, he's going to be like, okay, she faking because you're doing too much. Or she's going to be
Yeah.
like, you're too into this and I'm not into it. So that's something
Right.
that needs to be addressed, right?
Yeah.
But difference is not always bad, but different
Nope.
shouldn't be a form of disrespect either. Just
Right.
move on. So,
Right.
for instance, difference shouldn't be a form of difference. Let me give an example. My husband hates braids. I just said that, like with a passion.
Mhm.
So if I
Mhm.
come home with braids, I said, sweetheart, I ain't feeling that. Please don't do it again. Okay, I'm gonna respect his wishes. I'm gonna say, hey, I'm having surgery. I need to get my hair braided up. Actually, when I was pregnant, he's like, okay, cool.
Mhm.
Not doing hair and I'm pregnant. So,
Right, right.
whatever. But not I don't want to come home and be like, I just wanted to try some. Well, you get that out of your head and oh, I don't do that. Or no, don't disrespect me now. So difference
Right.
and disrespect are two
Mhm.
different things. So
Yes.
but differences are
Yes.
good. So if
Mhm.
the difference become a disrespect, it's definitely move on. And that's just
Right.
what I'm saying. Don't let that's how I am with everybody, or the last time I got close to somebody, be a sympathy play either. Get the heck on and
Mhm.
let somebody who got
Yep.
time deal with it, you know?
Mhm.
And now in my case,
Agree.
I also recognize, like I said, coming back to my differences in a man. I realized I was dealing with a broken man. in more ways than one.
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
my choice to put the time in. That's something different now.
Mhm.
We had both
Mhm.
went separate paths, lived life apart, and ended up back where we were. But we made decisions to work on us. But I
Yeah.
realized, I'm dealing with somebody broken here. That's also a different thing. You got
Mhm.
to know your assignments. And I'm not like
Right.
dogging my husband. Look, I think y'all should know by now. I love the ground he walks
Yeah.
on.
Mhm.
Brother's an assignment. Homeboy is a
Yep.
straight assignment. And if you're not strong enough,
Mhm.
you couldn't handle it. And people gonna be,
Right.
oh, I don't want no assignment. I want whatever God got. I want whatever God
I
has
do
for
too.
me.
I do
Because
too.
I don't think any other person in the world would have been patient enough with my husband or diligent enough
Mhm.
to get him
Mhm.
to not get him to have the grace to allow God to get him to the place that he is. So again, that all
Mhm.
comes from knowing yourself. And God
That's
has
right.
blessed our marriage and brought it to a place of joy that I could have never imagined. But again,
Mhm.
that was us understanding each other and decided,
Yeah.
he's worth it. I decided he's worth it. Never let someone else control your fate though. Never let someone else.
Right.
Oh God, his mom issues and his last girlfriend hurt him,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna just stay
Mhm.
with him. No, absolutely not.
Mhm.
If you don't feel any love, if you're just totally getting drained from that relationship, step off. That's not you, sis. Or step off, brother. That's not you.
Mhm.
My
Mhm.
husband, loving my husband didn't drain me. It challenged me. And you got to recognize the difference. Because I'm going to tell y'all something. We don't want to portray no perfect marriages here. Every single one of them is work.
Right.
I got a friend that's been married
Exactly.
52 years. I got a friend that's been married 32 years. I got a friend that's been married 10 years. All work. Okay?
All the
So
work.
again,
Mhm.
they don't want to put it in. Step off before you even get to that point.
Yeah.
If they don't feel the same, if you feel like they're hindering your life, that's not you.
Mhm. Yeah. And just like your husband's broken mine too, my husband, his mother was murdered when he was 13 years old. And so
Wow.
the life after that was struggle after struggle, and he never obviously he was married a couple of times before me. And,
Hmm.
of course, they didn't work because just like you said with your husband, the patience wasn't there. And it took a lot of patience, dealing with my husband, someone that, like I said, was in survival mode. As long as he could pay that rent or make that car payment, that's all that mattered. I'm just here to pay bills. It's what he thinks. And I'm like,
Hmm.
no, we're here to grow
That,
wealth,
that's a fact.
So getting him to understand that when you've been, you know, when you've had so much struggle in your life, it's like, nah, I'm good. you know, I'm good if I can pay my bills and that's enough. Um, and then having so much emotional buildup over such a tragic loss and never dealing with it. So what we did, my husband and I, we had to go to therapy. Our
Right.
marriage was not going to work if we did not go
Without it.
to a real therapist. And you and nothing, not knocking Christian counseling, but that's exactly what it is, counseling. We had to go see a clinical psychologist, a doctor, someone that went to school to say, help us, because I have issues. Everyone has issues,
We all
no matter
do.
how perfect I think my childhood was. It wasn't, of course. Um, so dealing with all the dysfunction that we all have to deal with, and we bring that into our marriages. So when people say work, like Sean said, work, and people say, I don't want to work, I think love should come easy. Oh,
Absolutely
love
not.
comes easy. Yes, it does.
Love comes
Love
easily.
comes easy.
Staying there,
Keeping
staying
it
there, staying
exactly.
there is the problem. And
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna just jump in with one
Go
thing, and
ahead.
not to diss the clinical side. I think that's what they're there for. I think God bless
Mhm.
doctors' hands and always
Oh,
surgeons,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
gynecologists, therapists.
Mhm.
They're all blessed. Their
Mhm.
minds, the schooling. But I'm gonna tell you that me and my broken husband survived right off Christian counseling. We did not have to go see a licensed therapist.
Ah, okay.
Baby, we took it to the cross. And so
Mhm.
either however you do it is what I'm saying. See,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
marriage survived and successful from clinical therapy.
Mhm.
My marriage
Mhm.
survived and success from Christian therapy. And not all the time sending sessions. It was calling a sister who was a pastor. It's calling my
Yeah.
friend, one of the associate pastor's wife who's my friend. It's calling his niece who's a minister of music saying, hey, that they've all been
Mhm.
married 10 plus years. I can't do this
Mhm.
anymore. What is happening? This is what's happening, girl. You're on assignment. And you
Yeah.
have to take
Yeah.
those things and you have to build. So again, if you're with the person who's willing to put in work, you're gonna have to work that thing. If they're
That's
not,
right.
then step off. And
Mhm.
Shannon, it's one more angle I want to look at before I jump into the red line real quick.
Oh, sure.
We talked about people not knowing their self. We talked about, I can't. It's one other one that I got to touch on real quick because it's the grandfather of clauses, and that's procrastination, right? Listen,
Yeah.
men and women, this applies both ways, right? This is still that other person's issue. Whatever it is, procrastination is still the other person's issue. I don't like
Mhm.
to rush into things or why we got to get married. It's for sure, it's a for sure sign to run. That person is either dealing with some issues that they haven't told you about, or worse, holding out for someone else. Don't be a
Mhm.
placeholder. Don't be a
Right.
showpiece. Don't be a warm body.
Mm.
If a person can continue to string you along with no commitment, why wouldn't they? I mean,
Why
what's the
wouldn't
old
they?
saying? What's the old saying, Shannon? Why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free?
That's right.
People don't do spousal duties or give spousal privileges if there has not been a trip to the altar, and that's
Mhm.
period. Hmm.
Yeah. Yep. And for those young folks that, they're quick to say, "Oh, this my husband, this my wife," and they're not even married and they want to live like that. I'm going to tell you guys, when that person dies, you don't get anything.
Nothing. No social security, no acknowledgement. You're gonna be a special friend in the obituary. Let me tell you that. Because that's the title for it. It ain't no, ain't no.
Right.
Shannon, don't make me laugh. Ain't no title for you. You was just a special friend. You was his girlfriend.
Oh
So
my
don't let
God.
people get all that time out of you, men or women, men
Mhm.
either. Don't let people get that time out of you, and you have nothing in the end to say. I live my life for this person. I live my life for this man. And like we said, we know it's some people that don't believe in marriage, and if that's you, hey, have at it.
Hey,
But we're
right.
we're speaking to the ones who want long term, and we're speaking to the ones
Yeah.
who want to hold somebody's hand until they're great. And yes, you can do that without being married. But again, there's no benefits to it.
Mhm.
And we're not talking monetarily either.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
what we're talking about a whole picture here. So, we'll
Mhm.
wrap up by saying when it comes to stepping up or stepping off, only you know how long, it's too long. Again, set your goals and by all means, they don't have to be in concrete, but don't write
Right.
them in sand either. Be real with yourselves. And if the person you become involved with wants to ensure that you're good, however things turn out, it will be a pleasant end when you cross paths again. If the person you treat good and you treat each other good and it's over, hey, how you doing? It's not, oh, there go that MF or there she go. Oh, there go my kid's baby mama. You don't want to feel that way.
Right.
You never know how
Right.
it's going to turn out. And you may meet
Mhm.
again. Just look at me.
Yeah.
So
All
I
right.
will move into our red line for tonight.
Okay.
All right. This week's red line is titled Ice is for Drinks. Family, don't allow a person to put you on ice while they decide what's best for their life. Once you've moved to a point of committed relationship, it should be about the needs and wants of both parties involved. I understand that marriage is where two become one. But how can it ever get to that if a person remains selfish and self centered? If you spend an enormous amount of time with a person or in a relationship and now you're ready to go to the next phase, whatever phase that may be, and the other person insists on remaining dormant in that current phase, that's a clear sign that they're not willing to grow with you, at least with you.
Mhm.
I didn't say willing to grow, but they're not willing to grow with you.
Mhm.
Ice will only keep a drink cold for so long, and eventually it melts. It will still be cold for a while, right? But soon
Yep.
it will lose it will become watered down. Never let someone change your flavor. Move on and find your person before you lose the best version of you waiting on the wrong one to step up.
All right.
And that's my red line topic for tonight. Where can they send their submissions?
Abs-
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. So, if you would like to win a $100 gift card, submit your red lines to wifey and baby mama at gmail.com. And if we choose your red line to read on the air the third Thursday, which is when we read them, the third Thursday of each month, if we choose yours to read on the show, you will receive a $100 gift card. So please send them in. Thank you.
Thank you. We're looking for a September winter, so you guys got about 2 weeks to get them on in.
That's right. Okay. Now we're on to our final segment of the night, the fictional family I'm feeling. All right. So the fictional uh, cast, I should say, I'm feeling tonight comes from the movie Friends with Benefits, starring Timberlake and um, Mila Kunis. So Justin plays a character by the name of Dylan, and Mila, I think that's her name, Mila. I call her Mila, and I'm not sure, but Jamie is her character. But anyway, they're really good friends, really, really close friends. And neither one of them are dating anyone, and they decide, hey, let's just be friends with benefits. So we can sleep together with no strings attached. You do your thing, I do your thing, and whenever we need to hook up, we hook up. Hey, they're thinking that's all good. So that goes on for a while. And as it goes on, you can see she's developing feelings, of course, because that's what happens.
Yep.
And they happen to be meeting with his sister. He's talking to his sister, and or Dylan's talking to his sister, and Jamie overhears him tell his sister that um, pretty much she's nothing to him, because his sister asks you, "Why are y'all friends with benefits?" And he said he's still looking for the one, and the sister says, "Well, she's not the one, Jamie," and he said, "No, she's not the one," you know. And of course, Jamie's hurt. Now, if you're just friends with benefits, why are you hurt? So, anyway, Dylan finds her later to figure out why she's so upset. And she says to him, you know, what you said to your sister, that was just wrong. A friend wouldn't have done that. And he says, I was just telling the truth. So I'm confused. We're just friends. And she said, well, clearly we're not, because a friend wouldn't have done that. So it seems to me you were only trying to get into my pants. So of course that's what we do sometimes as a society of sometimes as women. Now it became him trying to get into her pants when they both agreed to this
Friends
unorthodox,
with
you know.
benefits relationship. Mhm.
Right, exactly. And so she's upset that, or she felt at that moment that he was trying to get into her pants. So my point is to these people, to or everyone, not just the women, but um, stop lying to yourself. And I say
Mhm.
that a lot. Sean and I say that a lot. You're probably like, why do you keep saying that? It's because if you're not going to be honest with what you're feeling for someone, thinking, oh, we can just sleep together and it's okay. Oh, I don't want to marry him. It's okay. Knowing you have feelings, knowing that you're putting yourself on a back burner or putting taking yourself off the market for someone who God probably has for you because you're
Yeah.
wanting to play these games and get your feelings all caught up into foolishness because you're lying to yourself because you're not that strong. You are not
And
that
you
strong.
and you can't play step up or step off with a person that you initially agreed to just have sex with. So getting
Exactly.
to know yourself and being honest with yourself
Hmm.
will avoid a whole lot of heartache. And she actually put herself in that position.
That's
If she
right.
wanted more than that, she should have told him. Because you know what
Hmm.
most women think, and I can't speak for men because we're women. Most women think if I just put it on him good enough,
Uh-huh.
I can change his mind.
Nope.
That's an absolute lie. Because that man isn't going to
Absolutely.
change his mind or commit to any woman except the one he wants to, no matter how many times you have
That's
sex
right.
with
That's
him,
right.
or how much money you give him, or what you buy him, or how you treat his kids. Know
Hmm.
yourself
Know
and
yourself.
treat yourself well, and make sure everyone else you're dealing with treats you well. And don't lie to yourself. Great
Don't
fictional
lie.
family, girl.
Well, right. So that is our show for tonight. Um, we thank you for listening and subscribing and downloading across the globe. Um, we're so grateful for all of you for tuning in and listening, and we love looking at the numbers and the colors coming up on the globe across the world. So we appreciate you all, and we look forward to next week.
Love you all. Bye.